Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the General Director of the Phần Fund Management Company. Thank you for joining today's online seminar. As COVID-19 still rampant around the world, it is necessary to better understand economic and stock market condition in the first half of 2020. In the past half year, we have recognized how easy our normal life can be taken and how strong we can be if we work together. Now we live no fear because the decisive action of the Vietnam government after the eruptions of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, as you know, the pandemic remains a threat at least one more year from now on, until the vaccine is invented. So we think the economic condition at best will just like we are facing now. All economic entities will heavily rely on the domestic consumption and the stimulus package of the government. In the following 30 minutes, I will quickly go through the current condition and tell you how we think about the economic and stock market, the move for the second half in 2020. Under the threat of the COVID-19 pandemic, Vietnam's GDP growth, no exception, in the first half faced a big decline to the 1.81%. It's the worst performance since 1991. All sectors, especially for the service sector, plunged significantly. Considering that the investment, production, and trade will still suppress due to the COVID-19 issue, we think it is highly possible that the 4% GDP target this year may not be able to reach. Our concern is justified by the newly released economic data. Growth of the industry production in the first half is only 2.7%. It's the lowest level in the past 10 years. The PMI in June even climbed back to over 50, but we think that it's very difficult to maintain because currently the factory see no return of the order. I take the exporter of the shoes maker, for example. The production is currently only 20% of previous level. Textile exporter also struggling for enhanced utilization to over 50%. Along with the rising urban unemployment rate, which now have jumped to the 4.46%, and the unprecedented shutdown wave of the company, we think the consumption and the investment, which normally is the major drivers of the economic growth, may not do any help this year. So the GDP growth will heavily rely on the recovery of FDI and the increase of government spending. Whatever we try, it is for sure the result will be a bit gloomy. However, even the condition for sure is not good this year. At least we know the economic can still maintain the positive growth in this year. And the impact from the COVID-19, sooner or later, will be removed. PSU's research team thinks that Vietnam will greatly benefit from the restructuring of the supply chain and the new Cold War between the United States and China. So once the COVID-19 issue was be removed, we think that Vietnam can quickly regain the growth momentum immediately. Currently, we should be patient on the darkness before the new dawn. The one interesting phenomenon during COVID-19 pandemic is the reactions of the financial market. The investor leave and return the financial market with a very short period, even the pandemic is still out of control. As you see it, 2 months after the Lunar New Year, the global market in general declined up to the 30%. Some media even implied that another big depression is coming. However, 3 months later, even the infected case of the COVID-19 around the world now is close to the 70 million, and there's no sign to slow down. The major stock market, especially in the United States, have already recovered all loss. While the financial market is so resilient and hyper, one of the major reasons is too much money in the market. The central bank around the world keep pouring the money into the market. Fed launches a new QE. The other countries raise the money to save the economy. The money float find no way to go but the stock market. Second reason is the new economic start, like Google, Facebook, and Amazon, bring the illusion that the impacts of COVID-19 may be limited. I take Tesla, the leading electric car maker, for example. Now his PE ratio is already over 180 times. At the same time, Amazon's PE is around 140. I think this is also explained why the recoveries in the emerging market like Vietnam, the performance is left behind. Because we don't have the new economic share, the stock, to justify the risk-taking action. Since the eruptions of the COVID-19, the foreign investors keep selling from the Vietnam market and currently still didn't see the significant return. This is why the rebound is limited. The recovery of Vietnam's stock market recently is majorly driven by the flows of the new domestic investor. As you can see from the chart, in the past 4 months, the new open account maintains over 30,000 every month. The money from this new joiner help the market to go higher. So for the remaining half years of 2020, under the concerns of COVID-19, the Vietnam economy may not be able to maintain the high growth as before. However, as you comparing to the other market countries, 4% GDP growth, basically already the best of the best. Take China's market, for example. Its GDP growth focus this year is only 1%. Like I mentioned in the beginning, we think this year, the government spending will play a very important role, with the estimate around the 700 trillion Vietnam dong. We expect that this will enhance the GDP growth around 1.92%. FDI were also relatively stable as comparing with the 40% decline in the global FDI flow. We expect that the withdrawal FDI from China will bring the new growth momentum for Vietnam economy in the future. As you can see from this chart, the FDI in China for 2019 is around 10 times of the Vietnam's FDI. So even 5% withdrawal fund can bring the big benefit for other competitors, especially for the Vietnam. As for the focus of the VN index, although we think the MSCI's weight adjustment and the introduction of the new ETF, like a diamond ETF, may bring the new money to the market, but the plunges of the earning growth already prophesies the result of our focus. Under the COVID-19 impact, earning growth of the listing company in Jose will report a 10% negative growth. It is also the 3 consecutive years decline since 2018. Suggested to the 10% negative growth in earning growth, and we set the P ratio at around 15 times. Our projection model expected that the central value of VN index this year were around 816. Combined with a technical result, we think that this year, VN index will probably hovering around 650 to the 900. Of course, we don't exclude that the P ratio will be higher if the economic condition can be more stable than expected. Also, the enormous money flow, which is generated from the stimulus package, will also feel the risk appetite like the other country. Our team will watch the movements of the stock market and inform our valued customer when is the time to take action. In final, I will quickly go through the outlook of the industry under the COVID-19 issue. As you know, oil and aviation industry are 2 the major victims of COVID-19 pandemic. We think the suffering for these 2 industries is just the beginning. Without the returns of the demand, the financial status of some capital intensive company like airline company will become the more fragile in the future. It's for the industry, including the textile and the fishery, also faced a very difficult time during the past half year. The order visibility maintained a low level, especially for the textile. However, since the condition of the competitor like India and Ecuador now is locked down due to the COVID-19 issue, we think the fishery in the second half of 2020 may be able to report a better performance. Other industries like banking, retail, and food and beverage also face the high pressure in operation when the economic activity is suddenly suspended. However, we think the capability for recovery of this industry are better than the others because the domestic demand still intact. So in the second half, we think that this industry will report a relatively resilient performance. When the investor prepare the investment plan for the second half of 2020, we suggest the investor to choose the industry with the least impact from the COVID-19 issue. Construction raw material like steel and chemistry, technology, and the industry park, we think will be the spotlight in the stock market. This operation in the future will connect to the key issue like the low price of oil, the change of the lifestyle, and the result of the new Cold War. This week, our stock market plunged after the Danang reported new case of COVID-19. You can see how fragile the stock market can be, even just the concern of the return for the social instance. So under the high uncertainties of the second half, choosing the right investment timing and the correct investment target is very critical. In the following section, our analyst will introduce some industry which we think have a better chance in the second half of 2020. Thank you.